everybody, Gina Mizell here alongside Danny Moran. We are still at Research Stadium where on Saturday night, Oregon State fell to Washington 52-7, a game that was 45-0 at the half, and just the losses obviously keep mounting for the Beavers, and this was the latest one on senior day. Washington, which did not come in with a very good offense, just steamrolled an Oregon State defense that's very, very banged up right now.
Yeah, Jake Browning, the second true freshman to come through, with Josh Rosen being the first to really just light up the Beavers. 18 for 20, 4 touchdowns, no picks. His best performance of his career. For Oregon State, I mean, it's really hard to figure out what to say, particularly on defense when so many guys are banged up. I mean, no Larry Scott, no Justin Strong in the secondary. Kyle Pecco is playing out of position. That clearly didn't, affect the pass rush that much. Washington's really able to do whatever they want, 45-0 at halftime. This was the worst one of the season so far. Yeah, shockingly, or maybe not shockingly, the second time that Oregon State has allowed 45 points in the first half, that Washington State game about a month ago. But again, we were talking in the press box about how at one point in the secondary, Oregon State had Treston Takud, Gabe Ovgard, Malik Gilmore, Kendall Hill, and Brandon Arnold in the secondary. 3 of those guys were playing receiver during spring ball. So again, Gary Anderson hasn't used excuses or injuries as an excuse, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, but you could kind of see a unit that is really dismantled, really decimated, and it showed because, again, Washington State's passing game has not been very good this season, and Browning kind of lit them up, as you said. And then offensively, it started just as badly. I mean, back-to-back 3-and-outs, 1-yard gain total on those first 2 drives. Nick Mitchell was pulled 0 for 7, and then ultimately his last drive was a rollout to the right where he fumbled on a hit, gave Washington the ball deep in Oregon State territory. Marcus McMaryion came in, was effective at a couple points, actually threw a touchdown pass to prevent the shutout, but overall 8 for 16, not tremendously effective. They just kind of had to go for something else, and I think now the question, the Civil War's coming up on Friday, who gets that spot? I mean, it's those two with Seth Collins having been ruled out for the year. I don't really know which is the better option at this point. Yeah, Gary Anderson was asked by me, actually, about what the quarterbacks do, or what he does with the quarterbacks moving forward, and he said it'll kind of be just an ongoing evaluation process. So obviously something to follow up with on Monday because Oregon State is expected to practice. But yeah, Nick Mitchell, very ineffective. Marcus McMaryion came in, did a couple of good things, but really that touchdown pass to Victor Bolden, the play before that was a nice ball to Ryan Nall, a good fingertip grab by him, and then Paul Lucas had a 76-yard run in the first quarter. And those are really the only explosive offensive plays that you can point to. And again, it's been a struggle all season for Oregon State, and this was kind of just the latest example of it. Yeah, and for a while, I mean, that Paul Lucas run obviously was great, but, Oregon State was not even able to turn that into points, even though it went deep into the red zone. Right. And then for a
Garrett Owens missed a field goal.
Missed a field goal after a holding call, set them back, out of, first and goal range. And, for a while, that was their only first down. I think Washington at the same time had piled up 15 first downs. Right. So, I mean, the stat sheet ultimately, because Washington pulled a lot of their starters by the end of the game and Oregon State got a little bit more rolling, aren't even indicative of how, I guess, not really competitive the game was. It's, unfortunate to say for Oregon State, but that's kind of where it is right now. Yeah, well, you already alluded to it. Of course, a short week, the Civil War coming up on Friday afternoon in Eugene. Obviously, the Ducks are rolling ever since Vernon Adams' finger got better. They've won 5 in a row, beat USC earlier on Saturday. And this is, I guess, the last chance for Oregon State to salvage their season, but this is going to be really, really tough to pull off the upset in Eugene on Friday. Yeah, and Oregon's obviously still playing for a lot, too. I mean, they're trying to capture the Pac-12 North. Who would have thought that a few weeks ago? Right, I know. I mean, a couple weeks, into the season, it felt like maybe this was Oregon State's chance to, legitimately have a Civil War win and break that streak because, the Beavers were kind of hanging with teams, and Oregon obviously had their low point with their 62-20 loss to Utah. But obviously getting Adams back, getting Carrington back. They've already had an explosive running game with Royce Freeman and a bunch of other guys on the roster too. And since then Oregon State just kind of has gotten worse and worse and compounded on itself each week. So it'll be an interesting lead up to the Civil War just because of how, what different points these teams appear to be. Yeah, well, we will, of course, have all of the Civil War pregame coverage all of this week. Even though it's Thanksgiving, we will still have everything for you in print and on OregonLive.com. So keep it there for all of your postgame coverage for this Washington game and all of your pregame coverage for the Civil War coming up on Friday. Again, Oregon State loses to Washington 52-7 on Saturday night here at Research Stadium. For Danny Moran, I am Gina Mizell. We will catch you next time.